welcome back to the shop. Today's project, we're going to be getting our table saw back into service. This is a table saw that I inherited, actually from the same guy that inherited my the Kennedy toolbox and some of the machinist tools that I have. When he passed away, his son had given me this table saw, and this is an old Craftsman 10-inch table saw, which I think anybody over the age of 30 has probably used one. I mean, this is probably one of the most common table saws out there. Everybody's father had one. My father had one. And they're generally pretty well built. This one is a little bit different than some of the other ones, and I'll show you why. I think this one is actually older. It has the old Craftsman crown on there, plus it's kind of the stainless steel or that aluminum in the front. It's not all black, and the handles are cast metal. They aren't plastic. And the model on this is 113-29901. And when I got this, it had the wrong motor on it. So actually, when I was at my used tool guy, I actually found the exact motor for it, which is a 1 horse. I think the newer ones had 1.5 horses, but I think that was just kind of a generous rating on those. But usually, 1 horse to 1.5 horses, 3450 RPM, 115 volt motor is what sits on the back of these. And most of them were dual shaft, like this one. Usually they had a plastic cap over the second shaft. This one's missing that, so maybe I'll make one out of Delrin just to put over it so nothing gets caught on it. And the newer ones, this is a newer one, probably not the vintage of this table saw, because it kind of has the guard, the shroud on it. The newer 10-inch table saws had a plastic belt guard on it. This one doesn't have any of that. So we're going to take that guard off, and we want to just generally clean up the motor. Bearings are good, everything runs fine, it's nice and quiet, but it's got the 30 years worth of sawdust built up in it. So I'm going to take it apart, clean all that out, and we're going to mount it on the back. Also, unlike my father's table saw, which just had plain rails for the fence, and that kind of just tightened it. I'm trying to remember how I had it. I had one rail on the front, and I can't remember if I had a rail on the back or not, but it basically just sandwiched and clamped together. This one has a little kind of rack and pinion deal with a knob that you turn it, and it has the lever lock on it, which is a lot nicer than my father's one, because this tends to want to lock a little bit straighter than that. I know everybody says that the fences suck on these, which they probably do, and they're not the greatest, but a new fence system is going to cost like $400, so we're not even going that far. It's just a general purpose table saw for me to cut whatever I got to cut down here. But what I got from actual Craftsman itself, there were still parts available for this, and I got an extension for it, because you can see how far it goes out here. So this is an extension for it. I think I paid $25-30 for the extension, and the end, you can see it's curved to fit on either side of the original one, and in the parts list it says end cap. So I thought the way they made it look in the pictures was a nice piece of like aluminum that screwed to this to round off the edge so you don't catch this in the gut as you're walking past. And it cost $15, so that's why I figured it was. Well, no, I paid $15 for this little plastic cap. So if you ever need one of these and it says end cap, tell them to go fuck off. Now, this is going to be mounted over here. We have a stamped metal wing and a cast iron wing. So I'm going to take the cast iron wing, put it over here, take the stamped metal wing, put it over here, and for whatever reason the holes in this wing do not line up with the holes in the back of this little extension. It lines up with one of them but not the other. So what we'll have to do is put it in there, make sure everything's nice and level, and I think I have some transfer punches that'll fit this. We can transfer a punch and drill that other hole. The other thing we need to do is this has the Craftsman accessory on it, the Craftsman base, which is the full stamped metal base. Let me tilt you down so I can see what I'm talking about. It has the full stamped metal base. A lot of the other ones, I remember my father's just had legs. And it has these casters. Well, these casters suck. So you're supposed to be able to push up on this and pull it down, and that'll lift up the caster, and you put pressure on it. But I mean, as you can see, I'm trying to swivel them and they don't swivel. So those are pretty much junk and have been scratching up my floor every time I move this thing around. So what we got to deal with that is Harbor Freight sells these little mobile bases for like I think they're like 40 bucks, and you know, I had the 20% off coupon, and I looked online, they didn't look too bad, and a lot of people said that they had good luck with them, so I picked one up and we're going to use that. So for whatever reason on those legs there, it takes 1.25 inch wood to connect them. Well, of course you can't get 1.25 inch wood, so I got 2-inch clear pine that we're going to have to cut and rip to get them in. So I wanted to get a new blade to do that, so when I was getting the wood at Home Depot, they sell these guys. And this is a Diablo blade. This is a combination blade, so I wanted a general purpose blade that I could leave on this, you know, and use it to cut whatever needs that come up around the shop without having to change blades. And now I'm not making fine furniture down here, so it doesn't matter having 9,000 blades. I just wanted a blade that'll cut, that'll be able to rip wood if I need it, and be able to cross cut wood if I need it. So we went with the general purpose blade, combination blade. And these Diablo blades are actually made by Freud, and they are made in Italy. Some of the other line there, the Avanti line there, if you look at them, they look like the old were they Black & Decker blades? They looked almost exactly like the older, crappier blades, and they didn't say made in Italy in them. I couldn't find where they were made. I couldn't read the back of it. But these ones actually say made in Italy. They're made by Freud. So we're going to give this a shot and see how good this cuts. Now these are thin curved blades, and what the difference is between their Diablo brand and their actual Freud name brand, I'm not sure besides the price. I know the thin curve, the other ones are probably thicker and can take more sharpening and stuff like that, but I mean, this cost me 35 bucks. Those other Freud saws are going to cost me an arm and a leg. So I think this would be a decent kind of general purpose thing to sit on this saw, because I'm not going to use it a lot, but we do have to rip and cross cut the clear pine, so we'll see how it works with that. So first things first, I need to basically just break this down a little bit. I don't have to replace any of the bearings. The bearings are fine. They're actually serviceable bearings. There are oil ports on this. I just want to break it apart and just clean it all out. So I'm going to do that over on the bench. I'm probably not going to have a whole lot of video of that, but we'll maybe take a peek at the inside or something once we get this apart. But I'm just going to get this pulley off and just break this down real quick. Okay, we got the motor all apart, and I actually wanted to show you this because it's kind of interesting. Here is the centrifugal switch right here, or the centrifugal part of the switch that moves in and out when the motor gets up to speed. And right in here are the contacts. You can see here's where it rides on that little centrifugal part, and that right there is the contacts, just that little piece right there. So I'll clean that up, and you can see the 25 years worth of sawdust in here. The other interesting thing is the bearings in this motor. Like I said, I'm not sure how old this motor is, but this looks exactly like the one that my father had on his table saw, and his was from the late 70s, 78, 79. And what these have is the same type of bearings that are on the lathe motor, where you have basically inside here, you can see the metal bearing surface in here, and then if I can get the light and the angle right, there is a wiper pad there, and what you're seeing that looks like wear marks are actually oil grooves, and packed around the outside of this is felt. So you fill it up from the oil hole here, it soaks into the felt, which then rides along that wiper and oils that bearing surface. Pretty much the same way all the bearings on the South Bend work. That's why you have this buildup of sawdust here, is because this is soaked with oil. So we're going to get the vacuum in the air and we're going to clean all this out. This switch doesn't look bad at all, but we'll just take some very fine sandpaper, just give it a little once over. But all this garbage gotta go. Okay, so we get it all cleaned out after a short delay in recess for the Patriots game. Kick-ass Patriots game, and yes, we won. So now to get this guy all back together again, we're going to saturate this felt here with some oil, same oil I use on the South Bend motor. Make sure we're nice and wet in there. Same thing with this one. I can see the felt sticking up on the edge there. So we'll just plant this in here and give it a nice squeeze. Same thing in here. And there, that felt wiper goes right in the top of that oil hole. We'll just get it from the bottom. Nice squeeze in there. So now we're nice and saturated. We know we're oiled. I'm just going to sandwich this sucker back together again. Okay, so we're all back together again. The one thing I didn't do is mark the location of the motor on its actual mount. That's not a huge thing because when I get it in, I can just loosen these up and turn it if I need to. Basically, I just want those oil holes there to face up. So we're going to plug it in real quick and make sure everything works. Hey man, you. Okay, everything's good. No bad smells coming out of there. We didn't let go of the magic smoke. So just gonna mount it, and then the last step will be to mount the pulley, which I'll do off camera because it's really not that interesting. We get the motor mounted. I have the wings turned around, and I also remounted the switch. These are the style of switches that came with a lot of these saws where it's pull it on, push the off, and you have a little key. I picked this one up for $5 off of eBay. You can get Grizzly and everything sells paddle switches and stuff, but usually the paddle is a push button on. Even though they're under guards, I don't particularly like the push button arm on table saws. I'd rather have the pull off, because if you're leaning in and kind of playing with something, you do have a chance, albeit a small one, of pushing that on button. This way here, on is towards you. You really, if you're leaning in or measuring something and hitting this switch, you really have no way of actually turning that on. Also, like I said, if you have kids around, you can take the key and they can't plug it in and turn it on. And also, it's good for when you cut off your hand on the table saw. You can just hit it with your hip and shut the machine off. So that's the switch we have there. I do have to lengthen the cord from the motor to this, just because it goes a little bit closer to the belt than I want it, and I'll probably end up replacing this too out of here, which just plugs into a wall socket, with a longer cord from Home Depot. So I'll probably just replace this, but for the meantime, we're good with that. So let me set up on that cast iron wing and show you what we got going on. Okay, so here's where our fence extension goes, and let me just zoom out just a hair so you can see all of it. So it goes right on there like so, and you can see on the back side there's 4 holes in there. Well, the only hole that actually lines up is this one here with this one. So actually it's this one, I'm sorry, this one here with this one here. So I'm gonna put this on like that, and I'm gonna screw it in place, and then I have some Hyman transfer screws, 5/16 18, and we're going to screw that into the farthest hole away from the one that we're using. So we're using this one, we'll screw it into this one, and we'll be able to mark exactly where we need, but I need a straight edge under here. So I'm going to go get my level, and we can clamp the level up into place underneath here so we can get everything nice and straight. Okay, so I just clamped the level to the base of this just to use as a straight edge. Make sure all my holes line up pretty good. And this hole lines up real well. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the transfer screw, put it in its little, put it on the floor. I'm going to slide it into its little tool to tighten it in place, and we're going to screw it into the slot here where it belongs. And it just enough so that that little tip sticks above. You can kind of see it there. So this goes in here. I'm going to put a screw in on this side. If I drop another thing, okay, and all we're doing is just bolting this in place just to hold everything nice and square. There is a little bit of play in these, as you can tell. Move it as far in as you can and make sure everything's touching that level. And I'm going to get my brass hammer. Okay, and we're just going to give this a good whack. And we're going to make sure that that left an indent for us to see. Okay, and there's our punch mark. Now all I'll do is I'll deepen that with a bigger punch, and I'll take just my hand drill and we'll drill it through for a clearance hole. It doesn't really matter as long as it's a it allows a 5/16 bolt to fit through there. You can see I have a little bit of play in it, which is fine. I actually want a little bit of play in it so I can move it up, down, and around and get it perfectly in line with this one. So I'm going to do that off camera. Just going to drill in with my trusty DeWalt, Milwaukee. Okay, I got the drill hold. I just ran a little countersink there real quick just to break the edge, and I drilled it for 11-30 seconds, which will give me about the same size as these holes. Give me enough, just a little bit of adjustment in there if I need to move it left, right, up or down, or however I gotta go. So hopefully everything will line up. Well, there we go. Basically extended the fence. This whole side is a little bit tighter, but I mean, I can feel it. If you look at the actual finish between this one and this one's a little less. So I could probably just polish round an edge on these little teeth here on this side here, and that'll probably take care of that. But you definitely, I mean, lock down good. So we're going to actually run an indicator on this fence here and see how off it is. Okay, so I have a piece of angle bar clamped to the little slide here and the miter gauge, and I have the fence locked down there. And just so you know, actually I don't have it locked down, so just so you can see, I didn't pre-plan this. We're moving this around here. So we're preloading it, bringing that to 0, and we're just locking it down, random position. Now I haven't touched anything with this saw. This is as I got it. So we're starting off at 0 there. And at the very end, we're minus 10 28 thousandths. So the 28 thousandths difference in that fence from one edge to the other. For what I'm using this saw for, that's perfectly 100% ridiculously acceptable. We'll run that back and see if it repeats to 0. Which it does. There's a little low spot right here because there's a few nicks in this fence. So we'll move it in a little bit and we'll see if that is repeatable. 0. Minus 10 28. So that is 100% repeatable. Okay, so let's take a peek at our blade, and I've never used these before. This is a combination blade. I've used combination blade before, it's not this brand. Now these are sold by Home Depot. I think they're exclusive to them as far as box stores go. And it's labeled as Diablo, and it's by Freud. It is made in Italy. You can see the little tag there. It says so on the packaging also. And speaking of packaging, whoever invented this plastic, rip your hands apart, can never get into Fort Knox packaging, just needs to be dragged out on the street and shot. There's just, really. What's really interesting about this is they have, this supposedly isn't paint. Supposedly this is a non-stick coating. So you won't get that kind of resin burn to this, and you could probably fry an egg on it if you wanted to. Never know when you're going to make an omelet on use Tablesaw. So supposedly this is a non-stick coating. I did notice there are some kind of pebbles in it, like some rough spots in that coating, and it has these little what they call anti-vibration holes, and which is what's pretty cool about this is here's a regular saw blade, and this is actually what was on this saw. So you just take it and you can hear that thing ring out like crazy. Now this one here doesn't. Nothing at all. So these do cut down on vibration somehow, some way. Don't know how. But we'll throw this on here, and what we're going to be doing is we're going to be cross-cutting and ripping some 2-inch clear pine, square clear pine, down 1.25 inches to fit the mobile base that we're going to put on this. Okay, so we're only going to take a 1/4 inch off this wood, and it's clear pine, so we'll see how this does. That's not too bad at all. I don't know if you can tell there. That's the cut side, and that's the cut side. Finish is actually pretty damn good. There's a little bit of variation just because the piece was so long. If I had cut it into the strips and done it one at a time, it probably would have been easier, but why do things the easy way? Okay, so this is the mobile base here, and you kind of have to follow the instructions a little bit. The instructions really suck, but you have to do the lengths correctly. So you have to do the length, which is this side here, the base of the length of the tool, and you have to subtract 1 3/4 inches. Now this side here, the width of the tool, you have to do the width of the tool base plus 5/8, and that'll get you in the footprint of the thing. Now, where the instructions go really awry, the only way I could figure it out is by actually looking at the pictures, not even the pictures that are in the instructions, but the pictures on the actual cover here, is they tell you to put these together here and drill a hole here and a hole here. Well, that is correct. See how there's 3 holes on the plate? It tells you to put a bolt here and here. That's correct, but only for the front. In other words, one side, and you can see that these angle brackets aren't bent correctly in some spots. There's a little bit of play in them, but you know, you can just hold it and sandwich it out. Let me just flip this down so I can see what I'm talking about. So, only on one side do you want to drill here and here and put the bolt through with the edges butted up next to each other like so. On the back, on your length, whatever side you subtracted the 1 3/4 inches from, you have to push the wood forward until it's up to the edge of this bracket. The reason why, you can see there, the reason why is because right through this hole here goes the rear caster. Because I had it all together and had all these butts right up against each other in the corner, and it didn't fit. So you have to back those off, and these are 3/8 holes. So I'm going to drill all these, we're going to bolt it together, and if I run into any other hiccups, I'll kind of go through that. Inside this kit, there are 2 types of bolts. One that is threaded all the way, there are 4 of those, and all the other ones are not threaded all the way. Okay. These 2 that are threaded all the way are for the swivel caster mount, and those go on the front side, or whatever is the front side, in the first 2 holes. Now, you put those in, and there's 2 washers in the kit. The washers go on the middle bolt. Then this end stop, the actual lock, goes on the end over that bolt, and then the caster bracket goes on, and that washer holds this level, so it takes up the space of this bracket. And everything in here is all they're all nylocks, so let me tighten those down there. And these other bolts here, they go in all the other holes. So the only the 4 bolts that are threaded all the way are hold on the actual casters, and these other ones you use everywhere else. So this other one goes in the side here. In the heads, unless you measure, sometimes it's a pain in the butt. There it is. Now, unless you measure and take up for the actual length of the bolt that will be sticking through, if you put it in this way, all the heads go on the inside, so you have a flat surface on the inside to put your tool. You have to be kind of aware of that. I don't know if they took that into account when they gave you the measurements, but I actually added a little bit extra. I added about a 1/4 inch extra on my length, just so I know I had a little bit of play in this. So let me go and tighten all these down, and then we'll go on to the back section. Okay, we're on there, and I'm actually glad I added that extra 1/4 inch. It doesn't look like they took into account the bolt heads when they gave you the measurements, so you just got to be aware of that. I had just enough room to fit the base of the saw right on this. And we're much, much better than we were. So, you know, real easy to move around. and you know, to lock it, screw down the pads, tighten the wing nut. And we're nice and secure. So, you know, the instructions suck, but, you know, for the money, you can't go wrong. So, the saw is pretty much back to together. The only thing I need to do is, you can see it here, the cord here is stretched too tight. All I need to do is get a longer cord to the motor, from the motor to the switch, and probably what I'll do is I'll take it from the motor, route it here, and we'll just put a couple of clamps on it to hold it here. That way it's completely out of the way of everything. But otherwise, we got our saw back, and you know, normal little 10-inch contractor saw works out pretty good. That saw blade actually worked pretty good. Don't have any complaints about that. No burning on the wood at all, and pretty thin kerf. Didn't bog down the saw. Not much wear on there. You know, didn't even wear the coating here. Coating's pretty good. And this is the piece that we took off. So, all in all, I'm pretty happy. So I have a saw to cut whatever I need now. And you know, it's running at the right RPMs, whereas before I just had a regular half-horse motor on there, just temporarily. But we got it back together and back in shape. So now I got to clean up all this sawdust and put this back in the corner and not use it for a long ass time.